What is up, guys? Wanted to go over another unit here that I got in my shop. I know you may have already seen the Renegade 1000 that I've got. This is another one I have. This is actually my wife's unit. It is a RZR-S 900. It is a 2015 model. We bought it when it was new. It's been overall it's been a great unit. But I wanted to go over some things, some options I've got on it. My likes and dislikes of those upgrades that I did put on it, and some of the overall issues that I have ran into with this unit. We'll start out up front here. So, yeah, first thing is the Super ATV arched A-arms. There's two main reasons I went with these. The first reason I even went with them was one of my kids actually hit a stump in the tall grass, and it bent one of the A-arms on the driver's side. And so I had to get something. And the Super ATV full set was cheaper than the driver's side set from Polaris. So that was the first reason I went with them. The second reason is they come with a lifetime warranty. And I did have to use that, and they did honor it. So what happened was one of these adjustable links here on this A-arm actually broke. The threads sheared off, the actual bolt did. And so they sent me a whole new lower A-arm. Second thing was is my winch here. I went with and this hadn't been on there very long, so it'll be a while before I can do a long-term review on it, but it's actually a midnight edition Viper winch. It's a 4,500 pound winch. I haven't got to really use it in the field yet, so time will tell on it. This right here I've just put on, I went with just an LED bulb instead of doing the whole LED fixture. I wanted to try this first and see if it helped out any on the visibility at night. But I actually hadn't got a chance to use these yet since I put them in. There is some adjustment you can do on how it casts the lighting. So I gotta play around with that a little bit. But as far as the brand, I'm not even gonna try and pronounce it. But this is it. I got it off Amazon. You can find them on there. There is a little Allen screw in there to adjust the bulbs. Next up front would be the windshield. All right, so this is a Polaris windshield. I got it as soon as we got the unit, and I love this windshield, but I haven't been able to find it on the Polaris website anymore. So I don't know if they've discontinued it or what. But I did have one issue with it. This lower bracket that goes across here, it did break. It cracked here over time. And I just repaired this not too long ago. And what I had to do was make a metal bracket and bend a 90 on it, re-drill the holes. So far so good. I had to do that on both sides. Just made them identical. And it's working good so far. But the main reason I like this windshield is it's kind of a 3-in-1 here. So you can let the windshield down just a little bit, and it re-anchors right there and gives you a good ventilation, which really helps during the summertime. And then you can actually drop this thing on down, and it anchors right here on the front. And these anchor points actually came with the windshield. I really like that option. It is I don't know what they call this, but it is like a plexiglass material, and it definitely had to have the hardener on it because this thing's been on there for over 3,000 miles of off-road riding, and there's no scratches on it. It's been a good one. The other thing is our light bar. It's been on here since it was new. I got it off Amazon. It's one of the cheap ones. It wasn't but like 35 bucks. For about, I think it's a 30-inch bar, 32-inch light bar. The brackets also came off Amazon. They bolt right in the factory hole there. Next up would be the tires. So currently I'm running some 29 by 14s. They're Maxxis Bighorns. 29 by 9 by 14 on the front, and of course on the back's a wider tire. It's a 29 by 11. 29 by 11 by 14. And then of course the door fillers. They're just the metal door fillers. I got them off Amazon too. The cheapest thing I find, and they work fine. They've served their purpose. The fender flares is a must too. Got those off Amazon again. Wasn't very expensive, but it is a must, especially the rear ones. If you don't want a bed full of mud and all your cargo slap full of mud after riding, those definitely keep the mud out of the bed. Works great. What else? All right, so on the rear, I've actually made this rack myself, and it bolts in the. I made it to bolt in the actual extended roll cage that you can buy for these things. I used those factory holes that were there, and just built a bracket, and bought this rack at Harbor Freight. It was one of the lighter ones they had, and it actually comes in two pieces, and it's got the 2-inch hitch that bolted in the middle here and goes in the receiving hitch of your vehicle. And I just cut those brackets off and re-welded the whole thing back together, and just made a little light duty rack. I mean, it's fine for light stuff, you know, extra clothes, or if you're gonna throw a tent up there and do some any kind of overlanding or anything, if you want to ride and camp, it can definitely hold that. What else? All right, so I did not do the rear A-arms because these have been fine. I hadn't damaged them, and they do fine. One major thing that I did have on this unit, and this was the main reason I wanted to make this review video, because I went out and searched and I couldn't find anybody that suggested this, so it took a while to find this out. So I had some codes flashing and it going into limp mode and telling me it was overheating. And I know it wasn't overheating because it wasn't boiling over or anything. I didn't have any issues like that. But I done the normal checks that everybody said to do on YouTube. You know, check for air pockets in the coolant system. You know, check for a clogged radiator. I done that. It wasn't clogged. The code was given a fault for the temperature sensor, so I changed it out. Changed it out with an Amazon part, and I thought that, and it kept doing it. So I thought maybe it was just a bad part. So I got another one from Polaris, and it was still doing the same thing. So I started chasing the wires down, and right here, when the harness comes off the top of the motor, it comes down, and there's a big junction right there, a Y. There's no plug, it's just a big junction where everything splits off. All right, so that thing was hanging, and it was rested basically, I hope y'all can see that, it was resting on the corner of the engine right there where the engine bulges out. And over the 5-year period, it actually finally welded, or not welded, but melted through the wrap and into one of the wires. And it just so happened that one of the wires was the one going to that temperature sensor, and so it was grounding out and shorting out. So I pulled it off, zip tied it away from the motor, retaped everything up, and that fixed that issue. So if you're having any kind of faulty code, I would check my wiring harnesses all the way through, and no matter what it is, you've probably got one that's damaged somewhere. One of the issues with these units, with these S units, the 900s and the 1000Ss, at least the pre-2018 era, they didn't come with the engine brake, number one, and it depends on how you're gonna ride it. But we do a lot of kind of cruising, mountain riding, and we don't do any jumping, so that wasn't an issue. So the first thing I done was put an engine brake on it, or not engine, I guess it's kind of an engine brake, but it's a one-way bearing. I put a one-way bearing on the primary clutch to give me some engine braking on this thing for going down hills. That was awesome, but the other issue that plagues this kind of era of unit, the 900 and the 1000s, is the jerky starts. When you're trying to start off slow, it kind of gets frustrating after a while, especially when you're on a hill and trying to navigate rocks and stuff. It can get extremely frustrating. So I had reached out to Todd at Hunter Works, and he suggested using his Hunter Works belt. It's got a new compound, resin compound in it that helps it not be so sticky. So it eliminates a lot of that jerk. And I'll tell you, it did help a lot. It didn't eliminate it, but it helped it a lot, tremendously. I think there's only one other thing that I wanted to go over on this unit as of right now. If I think of more, I'll throw them in another video, because I do have more stuff coming for this one that we are going to be putting on here shortly. It is actually already in. I sit in the back of the truck, in the back of the RZR, and but I want to do a little bit of comparison videos for it first. So I want to do some recording on it before I put that on and do some comparisons. So I don't know if you noticed on the back, so I've got a backup camera that I put on this unit. The outside one is actually, I mean, all of them are going to be waterproof, but the key thing about this one, or the nice thing about it, is the actual screen on this unit is waterproof. It basically stays. I got it hooked up so it stays on all the time. And this monitor actually has an option for other camera views. You can add a front camera if you wanted to. I did not. I didn't see the need for it. But it did have two camera options. It came with all the cables needed, and it came with the camera. And again, this is a RZR-S systems. You have to get it directly from the website. They typically use these for like equipment and stuff, large equipment. But it's been great. My wife wanted rear view mirrors, and because of this windshield style, the only mirrors that would work on here is the Polaris brand ones, so they could bolt in this hole, because the cage kind of wrap brackets wouldn't work here. And when I priced those, if memory serves correctly, they were around $200 a piece. Well, this camera setup cost me $300. And that's for the camera and the actual monitor for it. So way cheaper and a lot cooler. So she can always see who's behind her, and she can also see when she's backing up, which helps tremendously. I think that's about it. I did put a cheap, it's seen better days, but I did put a cheap little sound system in here. I just made a bracket up there to bolt them to. Those came off Amazon. They're pretty cheap. They're about $100. They come with a little small, it's about probably about maybe 4x6 square Bluetooth amp with an actual volume controller remotely that I mounted here. And it works great. I mean, it's 1,000 watts. It's super loud. There's no bass to it, but it does work. It gets some tunes out for the price. So this unit currently has 3,813 miles on it. Hours is at 309 hours. So we do ride it a good bit. Probably not as much as most, but again, we're not super hard on the units. We do ride them, and they get rode in rough terrain, so they do get hit on pretty hard. I will say another thing too up here in the front. So this is something that plagues Polaris. this nonsense right here. And there's no way to fix it. You put a new unit on it, a new diff, or rebuild the diff, get new axles, it's eventually going to do the same thing again. I'm just going to run it till they break. And I've never broken an axle. Knock on wood, with that many miles on it, we've never broke any of the axles on here. We've had a lot of bearing issues, but it's nothing on the unit. We went through Polaris brand bearings. We went through Super ATV bearings. We've tried them all. All balls bearings, we've tried them all, and they all seem to go out pretty quick. But this last set, one did let me down worse than ever, and the wheel actually come off, the front left wheel. The bearing come completely apart, and it was coming off. The only thing holding it on was the brake caliper. So it was pretty rough. But yeah, that's pretty much it on that. So, as you know, I do have the Renegade sitting in the shop. I don't know if you can see it. There is usually one more unit in here. We actually sold it a couple months ago. It was an 05 Grizzly 660 that we had since it was new. And I had wished I'd done some early videos on it, because we went through a lot of issues with it, working the bugs out of it. But we do have a new unit coming. We have ordered it about 2 months ago. It should be here, they're telling me, the 1st of August, so we will see on that. But yeah, more stuff to come on this one, and there will be some riding videos that I am putting together. It's just taking me a lot longer than I thought, and there'll be future videos as well I'll try and put together. But the main goal for this channel was to try and show all the things we go through riding, try and capture all the issues we have with units, and how we work the bugs out, and try and capture some of those issues that I haven't been seeing out on YouTube and stuff. So if you have these units, or if you're looking to buy a used one, these videos can be helpful. So if you like this, just if you would, hit that like button, and then if you know somebody that's got these units and having these same issues, share it with them. There will be more videos to come. Have a good one.